order. And this is our monthly CAC meeting for PPACG. And at this time, if we could get a motion to approve the agenda.
Welling Clark, El Paso County, motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
We have a second.
Chuck Borman, El Paso County Treasurer. I move we second it.
Okay. A motion and a second. If no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, I hear none. Okay. On the consent items that we are bringing up today, is there any citizen or anybody that has something they'd like to bring up for the committee? Jared, did you get anything? Okay, I'm hearing none. And so we'll move on that. Have you all had an opportunity to review the minutes?
All 339 pages.
Okay, well, the minutes, not.
Sorry, I thought you meant the PDF.
Okay. Now, if you've had an opportunity to look at the minutes, if I could get a motion for approval on them or correction.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
Kathy Heisey, Callahan, on the minutes, item number 8, the meeting schedule for the December meeting shows the next meeting will be held at the regularly scheduled time on December 31st. And that probably should be updated to January 28th, or just remove that item.
Did you see that?
Yes, I see that. We can adjust that.
Okay.
With that adjustment, I move approval of the minutes for the last meeting.
Steve
Okay.
Schleicher, second.
Steve, second. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes as amended? Say aye.
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 Any opposed? There are none.
One abstention, was not present for the last meeting.
Okay. Noted. Welling Clark was not available last meeting. Okay, moving on to, we don't have any public comments, correct, Jared? Okay. Action items, I believe you're up, John. Glad you got here when you did.
Yeah. All right. So I can't remember if we had a PowerPoint from the consultant that we were using on this or not. But basically, you have seen this item before for the Certified Safety Action Plan. For those of you who are either new or had missed a meeting, basically, the federal government has a program called Safe Streets for All. And to be eligible for some of the funding under that program, your project has to be in a certified safety action plan. What makes it certified is that it goes through a data-driven approach to identify projects moving forward. And so the last time you saw that, our plan was to take the Certified Safety Action Plan out for 30-day public comment. We sort of took a step back and we said, you know, before this goes out for public comment, it probably needs to go to the board to be approved for public comment. And so that's the sort of the step back that we've taken. So at this point, what you have in your packet is basically the plan from before with 2 exceptions, and that's why I'm trying to go through this whole thing, is that one is it now includes all of the appendices, appendixi, I think is the plural. And that was a request from the TAC. And then also there is language that is needed to be required as a federal requirement that says commitment from regional leadership. And so we kind of wordsmithed that at the TAC committee. The TAC came up with wording that they were comfortable with, or they believed rather that our board would be comfortable with, because it's consistent with language that they got from the board back in July, that our consultant got from the board back in July, and also is consistent with the Colorado Springs Certified Safety Action Plan language. There was the consultant for Fountain's Certified Safety Action Plan was there, but I don't believe that they're far enough along to have commented on what their language is going to be. But it's very significant. So what you have in your packet now is the complete draft document that we want to take to the Board of Directors and get their approval. When I sit with the Board of Directors at the February 11th meeting, she's not looking at me like I'm crazy, so I think I got it right. What I'm basically going to say is we'd like you to read this for public comment, but as long as we're talking to you, we want to talk about the leadership commitment. And so we'll make sure that they're cool with that. So that in a nutshell is what's different from what you've seen in the past versus now. And again, focusing on that leadership language. Jared, I don't know if we've got that someplace that's easily called up, or it looks like Danelle's way ahead of me.
It's page 16 of the packet.
And when you mention leadership, is that strictly our board?
It is strictly our board, right? And that's sort of the beauty of doing it as a regional versus an individual jurisdiction.
Okay.
Is that it gives some, for lack of a better term, political cover. If anybody feels a little queasy.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't have somebody else in with our board. So
I think that this commitment will work. But again, I'm going to specifically call it out and make sure that everyone's okay with it. I think when they looked at it back in July of last year, it was I think that the language that was used in other places that said, we will have 0 deaths or something was language our board was not comfortable with. And so I think we came up with something while approaching 0 death. Can you help me out, Danelle? I'm old and my eyes don't read fast enough.
Sure,
Can you read?
absolutely. It's item 2 there under purpose that says commit to significantly reduce traffic related fatalities and serious injuries by 50% occurring on the Pikes Peak region transportation network by 2040.
Thank you. So again, I think that's the main thing that I think the board's going to want to talk about and make sure that they're comfortable with. But again, given that in July, when they saw wording that was far more specific, as in using words like 0 and everything else, I think this still it fits within the federal guidelines, but is language that philosophically our board would be more aligned. And that's the conversation I'll have with them. And so with that, happy to answer any questions. But at this time, we're asking you guys to recommend to the board that it release the Certified Safety Action Plan for a 30-day public comment period.
Okay, and I think Steve's got a question for you.
Sure. Hi, Steve.
Hey, guys. So I'm glad you guys actually brought that up, because going through the safety plan, I too noted that the plan commits to a 50% reduction in fatalities and serious injuries by 2040, and ultimately 0 deaths, aligned with U.S. Department of Transportation Safe System principles. So I'm really glad you guys addressed this, because the question that I had is, based on that, is what near-term actions in the next 3 to 5 years are realistically achievable, and how will the success be measured based on that?
Right. Well, and again, a Certified Safety Action Plan just gives you a list of projects, but a plan is no good unless you want something to hold open the door, right? If you need a big, thick report that you want to hold open the door with, a plan can do that. But otherwise, plans are just that. They don't actually move the needle. It's real projects. And so from that perspective, it is identifying countermeasures for areas that have been identified as problem spots and trying to implement those. But again, it's ultimately up to the jurisdiction to build the project, and it's ultimately up to the jurisdiction to choose which countermeasure that they want to use and what they're comfortable with. But I will quickly, Steve, take this opportunity to tell the story of it. And I forget the actual intersection. And if Will Mast is in the building, Will heard the story at the same time I did. So help me out, Will. But there was an intersection that had a left turn, and it had about 140 incidents a year average that people were getting hit or they were having incidents there. And so it was always consistently, like the next one down was at like 65, right? Or it was 105 and 65. So there was like a difference of like 40%. So this intersection was far and away more dangerous than any of the other intersections, especially for left-hand turns. City of Colorado Springs turned it into a protected left, and now it doesn't even make the list of intersections with fatalities. So with incidents. So you identify the countermeasures that make sense and you implement them. But this plan does not lock a jurisdiction into the best, which course it wants to take, and it doesn't dictate to them what they need to do. But it does list the projects there so that they can go then seek funding to actually implement those projects. So I think I went a little astray of your question, Steve, but back to the whole sort of thing. How do we guarantee it? It's one of those things that, again, it's not a hard and fast rule. They're not going to say, oh, well, you said you were going to decrease fatalities by 50%. You didn't do that. Now we're going to punish you. There's no punishment. It's just a goal. It's just a target. I know that there are some people that take those words more seriously than others. But I will say that, again, while we're trying to do everything we can to make the whole region safer, and we really are trying to get to zero fatalities, the reality is that, we can only do so much, and it's up to people's individual actions. So I think at the heart of your question is how do we guarantee it? Well, we can't guarantee it. There is no punishment if we don't hit it, but we do have good projects that we can look to actually move the needle. Does that help, or did I go around it?
Positive trend.
Yeah. So did I dance around your question, or did I answer it, Steve?
No, absolutely. You answered it, and I appreciate you sharing that. So guys, I will share, I read the whole thing and did not use osmosis by putting it under my pillow. So
Oh.
You and Welling.
We've got two people in the region now who have read it. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot of people who have read it because safety is a very, a serious a topic with a lot of folks, and rightfully so. So I'm glad you took the time to read it. And again, hopefully you're comfortable with the approach, and that you don't see anything that's a red flag to not being able to release it for a 30-day public comment.
Is that all you have, Steve?
absolutely, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay. Kathy, you're next. Kathy Heisey.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm, John, that this is the document that if we have the plan in place, it puts us in a better position regionally for grants and other one-time monies. Is that correct?
That is correct. At this point, the assumption is, and again, if someone has read something more definitive, that the next round of Safe Streets for All funding that will be released here in the next couple of months will be the last. So that's why we want to get this plan out and adopted so that the projects listed within the plan can go after that last round of funding. Now, as the federal administration looks at reauthorizing the Surface Transportation Act, currently the IIJA, they might say, yeah, well, in the next bill we'll have another one, but this is the only one we know about, and so we want to make sure that this plan gets adopted prior to that deadline, so that our jurisdictions can go after those funds.
And Kathy, is that all you have? Okay, anyone else? Question, comment? You Welling, please.
And Welling was at our workshop, so hopefully, Welling, they answered all of your questions, and you knew what was going on by participating in that. So thank you for being there.
Welling Clark, El Paso County. Thank you, John. And thank you for making me read 339 pages.
I didn't make you read it.
No, I do want to compliment. I was in that meeting. I got to see how the sausage was made. Operationally, the plan is well put together. There's no gaps, no vagueness. It's closed smoothly. Was unable to verify the data. But one thing I couldn't find, you may have it in there that I have a concern about, given recently in the last year's effort, the state government is trying to increase densification of population without addressing infrastructure, which causes more cars on the same roads, which it causes congestion. And from what I see is when you get things like that occur, I believe there's a higher probability of accidents occurring. I tried to find that in here, but is there something in there that allows us or PPACG to acquire that data and identify if you do densification without proper infrastructure improvements to handle that extra traffic, wastewater, all that, that we can identify and have a quantitative answer we can send up to the state to say, quit telling us to do that.
So, and again, I can bounce this by the consultant if my answer doesn't sort of ring true with you, but hopefully it does. So to my knowledge, there is nothing in this plan that asks about densification or assuming what will happen in the future. And again, remember, this is a certified safety action plan, which means it has to go through a very specific, rigorous might be the wrong word, but a very specific statistical exercise. And that statistical exercise is based on the data as it exists today, not making a modeling assumption of what would happen into the future. So for this particular plan, for a certified safety action plan, it is not appropriate for us to say, oh, and by the way, this situation is going to be worse, or this situation is going to be worse based on the actions of the state of Colorado and their and the recent land use legislation that has been passed, right? So all we can do is talk about statistically where we are today, and I believe that plan does that, and it meets the requirements of a federally certified safety action plan. And from that perspective, what's in there needs to be in there, and what you're asking for would not be appropriate for us to do because we do not know the actions, or we could not model the actions of this densification. So that being said, I was wrapping up with agreeing with you. Yes, the actions that the state are taking will have an impact on where we are today, but those are probably better addressed in other plans that we're doing as a region moving forward. I think I'm going to cross a little bit of a line and say, you know, as some of these things have been happening at the state legislature for the last 2 or 3 years, we have reached out to our federal partners to say, you have certain requirements. Now we are getting conflicting requirements from the state. And all we sort of received, again, this was when we had a different administration at the federal level, was, well, no, but you have to do whatever the state tells you to do, and we'll figure out the federal stuff at the back end. But that being said, you know, new administration, maybe we'll see other guidance. But for now, we're doing what we can. Did I?
No, I just wanted to. Yeah, no, thank you, John. I just wanted to clarify, it's not the standpoint of forecasting we think this is going to happen, but be able to capture that data, like number of accidents per capita, number of cars on the road per hour, and have that data to show the state later on when it's collected.
And we do collect that data. We do receive crash information, and we do have a crash dashboard that we geocode, I think is the correct word, the accidents on. So if you go to the PPACG data portal, you can do that. Now, obviously, it's not real time because when an accident happens, the law enforcement takes that information. They send it to the Department of Revenue. The state's ravenous for our money. This Department of Revenue, and what they do is they take the data, they strip out the identifying information, and they aggregate it. Then we get the data back, and then we try to de-aggregate it and add some more stuff to it, so you have it. So I think we're about a year behind. So right now you would see 2024, right?
I believe that's correct. Yeah, generally we get the data about a year behind.
But in a few months, we'll have 2025, but it's a rolling 5-year thing. But again, Will and his team do a great job with that dashboard, and they don't throw any of the data away. So you can set the filters to say, give me the last 7 or 8 years, because I think we go back that far now. So
No, thank you for answering that. I probably wasn't clear, but the focus of it was, and you generally answered it was, are we going to be able to acquire data so we can go back and say what you're telling us to do is not a safe thing to do based on real data?
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Is that everything? Any other questions, comments? If not, we can entertain a motion at this time to advise the board. Or
Well, in Clark, El Paso County, motion to approve.
we have a second.
Kathy Heisey Callahan will second.
Okay, Kathy did a second. Okay, any additional comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Or none? Thank you, John. And moving on, we'll do the annual safety targets with Danelle.
Yes, thank you. Similar to John's item, this is actually exactly the same as what you saw last month. Last month we brought this to you as an action item, or as an information item rather, and this month we are bringing it to you for a recommendation for the board to support the state targets. So every year, it is federally required that the State Department of Transportation sets a national safety performance target. Us as the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO, we are required to either then support that state target or set our own. Historically here at PPACG, there has not been a desire or a benefit seen to setting our own targets. So we have supported the state targets. We have had that recommendation again from our board and from our Transportation Advisory Committee. I do have the actual performance targets in here. I'm happy to read those off if you'd like. I also did include those slides from last month from CDOT so that you can see the traffic trends if you'd like to go through any of those. But really today we're just asking for that recommendation to go ahead and support those state targets. I will note that we had a question last month about red light traffic cameras and whether or not there's been analysis done to see the impacts of those cameras at those intersections. We here at PPACG actually don't have the locations of those and the data. And really that's probably under the Colorado Springs purview anyway. It's not really for me to say whether or not they would like us to analyze that data. We did reach out to Colorado Springs. We talked with the traffic engineering folks who actually have helped us to reach out to Colorado Springs PD. We haven't heard back from them yet. So just be aware that we certainly will still bring that information back should we receive something from them, but we've kind of reached out a couple of times, haven't heard anything back yet. So just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we were following up on that. Happy to answer any questions at this point. But other than that, just be on looking for that recommendation today.
Questions online? I'm not seeing any in the room. And just to be clear, there are no changes as we saw last month.
Exactly.
Just want to be clear. If there's no questions or comments, entertain a motion to move this forward.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we move this report forward.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Tyler Peoples, citizen at large. I motion, second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? There are none. Thank you, Danelle.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just
Yes.
wanted to comment, both those reports were very well done.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, moving on to item 6, transportation. Josh?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Today, I'm going to walk you through kind of a high-level overview of the fiscal year 27 through 31 TIP. This presentation is meant to be an introduction to the document. We're going to get into, we're not getting into the details of any specific projects or funding tables today. You guys will see that next month in the document. So instead, the goal here is to explain like what is the TIP, why it matters, and how this committee fits into that process. Yep. So the TIP is the region's short-term transportation investment plan for all regionally significant projects. It identifies which transportation projects are programmed to receive federal transportation funding within the PBACG MPO boundary. An important point is that the TIP does not create new projects. It programs projects that are already included in the adopted 2050 long-range transportation plan. So basically, in other words, projects go through that long-range planning cycle, and then the TIP is that step that moves them into near-term implementation. Without an adopted TIP, the region cannot spend the federal transportation dollars. So this document's a key part of keeping our projects moving forward. Here's a map of the PBACG MPO boundary. So again, projects that are programmed in the TIP must fall within this boundary. There are both federal and state rules that guide how the TIP is developed. The federal regulations require the TIP to cover at least 4 fiscal years and must be fiscally constrained and be updated at least every 4 years. So to be fiscally constrained, that means we have to program the amount of money that we are obligated. We cannot over-program. The state of Colorado, on the other hand, has some additional requirements that the TIP must be updated every 2 years. So we currently update the TIP every 2 years. When it comes to how funding decisions are made, projects first come from the jurisdictions themselves. Cities, counties, and other eligible sponsors submit their projects they believe are ready and are significant to the region, and they must be included in the long-range transportation plan. Those projects are evaluated, and the Transportation Advisory Committee reviews the results and makes funding recommendations. Then after the TAC makes its recommendations, the CAC reviews the TIP, and a formal public comment period is held. The public input is an important part of this process. And following the committee review and public comment, the PBACG Board of Directors takes final action on the TIP and releases it to make the official TIP. So what's new in our TIP cycle? This TIP cycle includes several important improvements compared to the previous TIP documents. We've added clear expectations of how the printed TIP compares to our electronic TIP software and how those work together. We expanded the discussion of performance management and measures, and also increased our narrative on transit funding in the region and incorporated feedback that we received from our FHWA and FTA certification review. We've also added a new appendix that cross-references federal TIP requirements with where they are addressed in the document, which helps to improve the transparency and will help us support any further reviews. That is not included in your document that you have in front of you today. So in terms of schedule, we're kind of early in this process. So this is the initial draft. Right now, committees are reviewing the initial TIP draft, so that does not include financial tables or specific projects, as the TAC, after their last meeting, held the project selection workshop, and that will have to go to them next month. So you guys will see that. You guys will see the full TIP document next month. So over the next couple months, TIP will continue to be refined and released for public comment, and committees will have additional opportunities to review it. Next month, the CAC you will see the full TIP document and ask to vote on release for public comment. And then after that public comment period, the tip will be, will come back to the committees with a summary of the comments and ask for your approval and move to final adoption by the PBAC Board of Directors. And then once approved, that new tip will go into effect on July 1st, 2026. As I wrap up here, I want to say thank you and I want to give a shout out to Lisa for making this PowerPoint look a lot better than what it would have. So thank you, Lisa. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have and hear any additional comments from the committees and any suggestions or feedback on the current tip draft.
We have one question, Josh.
Okay.
The public comment, will that be online? Will it be community meetings, or how will that be handled?
Yep, so we will hold, it'll both be posted online and we'll hold a public open house is the correct term, where public can come in and give feedback on the document.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with a question? Hey, well, thank you, Josh. Okay, Danelle, I think you've got a update on some members.
Yeah, just at the top of the member entity announcements here, we wanted to just make everybody aware. So started the new year. I reached out to a couple of folks about some seats on the CAC. We want to make sure that we are reaching out to all of our jurisdictions that we can, getting folks interested in participating and help folks participate if we can. We did have a couple of individuals step away from their positions. So Carrie Storm from Manitou Springs was elected to the city council. So she has stepped away from her position here on the CAC. The gentleman from Woodland Park, also John DeVoe, he has moved away. So that position is open. And Paul Wiggins, who was an at-large member, he has stepped away from volunteering for us as well. So there are actually several open member seats available. And I would like to send out that list to the CAC as a whole. I'll be reaching out to those as the kind of staff liaison. I'll reach out to all of the jurisdictions to kind of say, hey, we would really like to help you find someone to sit on our CAC if we can. But the at-large vacancy we can handle here in-house. So next month, on next month agenda, we'll have an action item to kind of set the process for how we'll fill that vacancy. I know last time we notified the previous, the folks who had applied previously, who had not successfully been named to the committee, to see if they would be interested, as well as opened for new applications. So we can do that again. We can set a different process if we'd like. We'd also we'll also take a look at who will be on that subcommittee for taking a look at those applications. So I just wanted everyone to kind of be aware of where we are in the process. Also, if you know of a community organization that might be interested in naming someone to our CAC, we have the League of Women Voters who has been active. We haven't really had anyone from Hey Neighbor, which is formerly Kono, or NEPCO in quite some time. We actually have 5 potential positions that could be filled by community organizations. So that's something else that is a place where we could get some more participation if we can find folks who are interested in volunteering for us and helping us support our community engagement. Just wanted to let you know. Again, I'll send up a follow-up email, and if anybody is interested or knows anybody, please let us know.
Okay, and we'll be prepared for the action item next month for the at-large member.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions for Danelle?
Well, in Clark, El Paso County, just one, Danelle. For organizations, do they need to be totally countywide, or can they be like a subset of like a group of like a dozen neighborhoods working together for a common goal or something? What would you prefer?
I believe that would still qualify because like Kono or NEPCO is a similar kind of an organization. I will take a look in our bylaws at the specific language and send that out as well, because I can't recall offhand what the specific wording is, but I think that would qualify.
And they were ultimately approved by the board.
Yes, yes. So in those cases, the organization itself would apply to the board as well as have their appointee approved by the board. So
Okay, any questions online? Okay, seeing none on that, meeting scheduled, Danelle, do you have anything on that or other than what we just covered?
I do not.
Okay, I do not have anything else. Does anyone online have any comments or, oh, Josh, go ahead.
Chair, sorry, I forgot to did not say something during my item. The tip draft, I'm looking to send out to you guys sometime after February 9th. It'll be a larger document. Jared and I are going to work on formatting the document, getting that finalized and ready to go. So we'll give you ample time to read that document. Thank you.
Okay, good. Hey, any questions online? And any more in the room? I'm seeing none. Okay, we are adjourned then. Thank you.